There are a lot of things about airports that younger travelers figure out quickly, but many senior travelers are never told. And in 2026, airports are bigger, busier, and sometimes more confusing than ever. Some of these tips can save you a lot of unnecessary walking. Others can help you avoid expensive airport mistakes, and a few can make your next flight much easier and far less stressful. The surprising part, some of these are things airlines and airports never really explain to passengers. So today we're going through 21 airport tips seniors should know before their next flight in 2026. And later in the video, I'll show you one airport trick that can sometimes get you from security to your gate without walking nearly as far as everyone else. Most travelers never even think to ask for it, so let's get started. Number 21. Request wheelchair or mobility assistance even if you can still walk. One thing many senior travelers don't realize is that you don't have to be completely unable to walk to request assistance at the airport. Airports today are enormous. Some terminals require walking what feels like almost a kilometer just to reach your gate. By the time you've checked in, gone through security, and walked across the terminal, it can be exhausting before your flight even begins. Airlines actually offer wheelchair or electric cart assistance specifically for this reason. You can request it when booking your ticket, add it later through the airline's website, or even ask for it at the check-in counter when you arrive at the airport. An airport staff member will guide you through the terminal and take you directly to your gate, often using quicker routes that many passengers don't even know exist. For many seniors, this can make the entire airport experience much less stressful and save a lot of energy before a long flight. And the best part, this service is usually free, so if long airport walks are starting to feel a little harder than they used to, don't hesitate to request assistance. It's there to help make travel easier. Number 20. Always carry medications in your carry-on, never your checked bag. This is one of the most important travel habits senior travelers should always follow. Checked luggage doesn't always arrive when you do. Sometimes it's delayed, sometimes it ends up on the wrong flight, and occasionally it can even go missing for a day or two. That might be inconvenient if it's just clothes. But if your medication is inside that suitcase, it can quickly become a serious problem. That's why doctors and airlines strongly recommend always packing your medications in your carry-on bag where you can keep them with you at all times. It's also a good idea to keep medications in their original labeled containers. Airport security rarely has issues with medication, but if they do have questions, the label helps confirm what it is. Many experienced travelers also bring a printed list of their medications or prescriptions, just in case they ever need to replace something while traveling. It's a simple habit, but it can save you a lot of stress if your luggage takes an unexpected detour somewhere along the way. Number 19. Check airport maps before you arrive. One mistake many travelers make is assuming airports are easy to navigate once they arrive. But modern airports can be surprisingly complicated. Some terminals are so large that it can take 20 minutes or more just to walk from security to your gate. For senior travelers, that can be tiring, especially if you're carrying bags or rushing to catch a connection. That's why it helps to look at the airport map before you even leave home. Most major airports publish detailed terminal maps online, and they show things like gate locations, elevators, restrooms, food areas, and transport trains between terminals. Just spending a minute or two looking at the layout can help you understand where you're going and avoid wandering around trying to find your gate. It also makes it easier to spot things like moving walkways, escalators, or shuttle trains that can save you a lot of walking. It's a small step that can make a big difference in how smooth your airport experience feels. Number 18. Arrive earlier than younger travelers might need to. Airports today move fast, and things don't always go exactly as planned. Security lines can suddenly get longer, gates can change at the last minute, and sometimes you may need a little extra time just to find your way through a large terminal. That's why many experienced senior travelers give themselves a bit more time than the typical recommendation. Instead of arriving at the airport feeling rushed, arriving earlier allows you to move at a comfortable pace without feeling pressured. You can take your time at check-in, go through security without stress, and still have time to sit down and relax before boarding begins. It also gives you a cushion in case something unexpected happens, like a long security line or needing help finding your gate. Travel is always much more enjoyable when you're not racing the clock, and arriving a little earlier can make the whole airport experience feel much calmer. Number 17. Wear slip-on shoes for airport security. Airport security lines can move quickly, and one thing that often slows people down is dealing with shoes. In many airports, passengers are asked to remove their shoes during security screening. If you're wearing shoes with lots of laces or complicated straps, it can turn into an awkward moment where everyone behind you is waiting. That's why many experienced travelers choose simple slip-on shoes when flying. They're easy to take off, easy to put back on, and they make the security process much smoother. For senior travelers especially, this small choice can make security far less stressful. Instead of bending down and dealing with laces in a busy line, you can simply slip your shoes off and keep moving. It's a small detail, but little things like this can make the airport experience much easier from the very beginning of your trip. Number 16. Bring your own snacks to avoid expensive airport food. One thing many travelers notice quickly at airports is how expensive the food can be. Once you pass through security, you're essentially in what's known as a captive market. There are only a few food options available, and prices are often much higher than what you'd normally pay outside the airport. A simple sandwich or small snack can sometimes cost 2 or 3 times the normal price. That's why many experienced travelers bring a few snacks from home. Something simple like nuts, a granola bar, or a small sandwich can keep you comfortable while waiting for your flight and help you avoid paying high airport prices. For senior travelers, this can also be helpful if you prefer certain foods or want something lighter before flying. It's a simple tip, but it can save money and make your time at the airport much more comfortable. Before we continue, if you're enjoying these tips so far, please give the video a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And stick around, because one of the tips coming up soon can actually help you avoid walking huge distances inside some airports. Now let's continue. Number 15. Bring a portable phone charger or power bank. Airports today rely heavily on your phone. Your boarding pass is often on your phone. Gate changes are announced through airline apps, and many travelers use their phones to track flights, check connections, or contact family. But airports and long travel days can drain your phone battery surprisingly quickly. Between waiting at the gate, checking travel updates, and using your phone during layovers, it's easy for the battery to run low before you even board your flight. That's why many experienced travelers bring a small portable power bank. These battery packs can recharge your phone while you're sitting at the gate or even during the flight. It's a simple travel accessory, but having a backup battery can give you peace of mind and make sure your boarding pass and travel information are always available when you need them. Number 14. Avoid using public USB charging ports. If you've ever walked through an airport terminal, you've probably seen those convenient USB charging stations built into seats or walls. They seem like a great idea when your phone battery is getting low. But cybersecurity experts have warned about something called juice jacking. This is where a compromised USB port could potentially transfer data from your phone while it's charging. While it's not extremely common, it's still something many security experts recommend avoiding. The safer option is to bring your own wall charger and plug directly into a regular power outlet. Some travelers also carry a small USB data blocker, which allows electricity to pass through but blocks any data connection. For most people, it's a simple precaution. But when your phone holds things like banking apps, personal photos, and travel information, it's always better to be safe than sorry. Number 13. Photograph your suitcase before you check it in. Most of the time, checked luggage arrives exactly where it's supposed to. But every now and then, bags can get delayed, sent to the wrong destination, or temporarily lost in the system. When that happens, the airline will ask you to describe your suitcase. And that's where many travelers suddenly realize how difficult that can be. You might remember the color, but there could be dozens of bags that look very similar. That's why many experienced travelers take a quick photo of their suitcase right before handing it over at check-in. If the bag ever goes missing, you can simply show the airline staff the picture. It makes it much easier for them to identify the exact bag and track it down faster. It only takes a few seconds to do, but it can save a lot of time and frustration if your luggage ever takes an unexpected detour. Number 12. Remove old baggage stickers from your suitcase. If you travel even occasionally, it's easy for old airline baggage stickers to build up on your suitcase. Many travelers leave them on without thinking much about it, but modern airports rely heavily on automated baggage systems that scan barcodes to send luggage to the correct flight. If an old sticker is still attached to your bag, there's a small chance a scanner could read the wrong barcode and send your luggage in the wrong direction. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, your suitcase could end up heading to a completely different destination. That's why many frequent travelers make a habit of removing old baggage stickers after every trip. It's a simple step that helps the baggage system read the correct tag and keeps your suitcase moving toward the same destination you are. Number 11. Wash your hands before going through security. This might sound like a strange tip, but it can actually save you time at airport security. At many airports, security officers sometimes take a quick swab of a passenger's hands or belongings during screening. The swab is placed into a machine that checks for trace chemicals linked to explosives. The problem is, certain everyday substances can occasionally trigger a false alert. Things like fertilizer from gardening, some hand creams, certain cleaning products, or even residue from handling fireworks can sometimes cause the machine to flag the sample. When that happens, security officers may need to do additional screening, which can slow things down and make the process more stressful. A simple way to reduce the chances of this happening is to wash your hands before entering the security line and avoid applying heavy lotions right before screening. It's a small step, but it can help you move through security a little more smoothly. And coming up in just a moment, there's also a tip that many travelers completely overlook that can make waiting at the airport far more comfortable during long layovers. Number 10. Keep an eye on the codes on your boarding pass. Most travelers glance at their boarding pass just long enough to see their seat number and boarding group. But your boarding pass actually contains a lot more information than that. Those small letters and numbers can tell airline staff things like the class of ticket you purchased, your boarding priority, and sometimes even whether you're likely to make a tight connection. For example, the letter that represents your fare class can indicate the level of service you're entitled to on that flight. It also helps explain why some passengers board earlier than others. Another small detail many travelers overlook is their seat location. Seats closer to the front of the aircraft often allow passengers to get off the plane much faster after landing, which can be especially helpful if you have a connecting flight to catch. So the next time you look at your boarding pass, take a moment to look beyond the seat number. Those little codes can tell you more about your flight than you might think. Number 9. Ask airport staff for shortcut routes through the terminal. Many large airports are designed to guide passengers past shops, restaurants, and long corridors on the way to their gates. But what a lot of travelers don't realize is that airports sometimes have quicker routes that aren't obvious on the main walking paths. Airport staff, including gate agents, security staff, and information desk workers, often know the fastest way to get from one area to another. Sometimes there are service corridors, elevators, or alternate hallways that can save quite a bit of walking, especially in very large terminals. For senior travelers, this can make a big difference, particularly when trying to reach a gate quickly or during a tight connection. So, if your gate looks like it's a long way away, it never hurts to politely ask an airport employee if there's a quicker route. You might be surprised how often there is. Number 8. Consider buying a day pass to an airport lounge. Most travelers assume airport lounges are only for first-class passengers or frequent flyers. But in many airports today, that's no longer the case. A lot of airport lounges now sell day passes that anyone can purchase, sometimes for about the same price as a meal in the terminal. Inside a lounge, you'll usually find comfortable seating, quieter surroundings, complimentary snacks or drinks, and sometimes even things like showers or charging areas. For senior travelers, this can make a long layover much more relaxing compared to sitting in a crowded gate area with constant announcements and noise. If you have several hours between flights, a lounge day pass can turn that waiting time into a much more comfortable part of your trip. Number 7. Wear compression socks during longer flights. Long flights often mean sitting in the same position for several hours. For senior travelers, that can sometimes lead to swollen feet, stiff legs, or circulation discomfort during the flight. That's why many doctors recommend wearing compression socks on longer trips. Compression socks gently help improve blood circulation in the lower legs, which can reduce swelling and make long flights much more comfortable. In fact, many frequent travelers and even flight attendants wear them regularly during long journeys. You can find them in most pharmacies and travel stores, and they're designed to look just like normal socks. It's a small travel item, but it can make a noticeable difference in how your legs feel when you finally stand up after landing. Number 6. Choose aisle seats if mobility is important. When booking a flight, many travelers automatically choose a window seat because of the view. But for senior travelers, an aisle seat can often be the more comfortable option. With an aisle seat, it's much easier to stand up, stretch your legs, or walk to the restroom during the flight without having to climb over other passengers. On longer flights especially, being able to move around occasionally can help reduce stiffness and keep you feeling more comfortable. It also makes boarding and getting off the plane a little easier, since you're already positioned right next to the aisle. It might seem like a small seating choice when you book your ticket, but for many travelers, an aisle seat can make the entire flight feel much more comfortable. Number 5. Ask the gate agent if the flight is full. When you're waiting at the gate before boarding, most passengers simply sit down and wait for their group to be called. But there's one quick question that can sometimes make your flight much more comfortable. You can politely ask the gate agent if the flight is full. If the flight isn't completely booked, there may be empty seats or even entire rows available once everyone boards. In those situations, flight attendants will sometimes allow passengers to move to an empty row after takeoff. For senior travelers, that can make a big difference on longer flights. Having a little extra space can make it easier to stretch out, relax, or simply enjoy a quieter part of the cabin. Of course, it's not guaranteed, but it never hurts to ask. And sometimes that simple question can lead to a much more comfortable flight. Number 4. Use TSA pre-check or priority security lanes when possible. Airport security is often one of the most stressful parts of the entire travel experience. Long lines, removing shoes, unpacking bags, and standing for long periods can make the process feel tiring before your trip has even begun. That's why many frequent travelers sign up for trusted traveler programs like TSA PreCheck or Global Entry. These programs allow approved travelers to use special security lanes that are usually much shorter and move much faster than the regular lines. Passengers using these lanes often don't need to remove their shoes, belts, or light jackets, and laptops and liquids can usually stay inside their bags. For senior travelers, this can make the security process much easier and far less physically demanding. Programs like TSA PreCheck require a short background check and a brief appointment, but once approved, the membership lasts for several years. Even if you only travel a few times a year, many travelers find that skipping long security lines alone makes it worthwhile. If your airport offers a priority or trusted traveler lane, it can turn one of the most frustrating parts of flying into one of the easiest. Number 3. Look for airport golf cart rides if the terminal is very large. One thing many travelers don't realize is that some large airports operate electric carts that drive through the terminals, offering rides to passengers who need help getting to their gate. You may have seen them before. Small airport vehicles quietly moving through the terminal with a few passengers seated in the back. Many people assume these carts are only for travelers who booked wheelchair assistance in advance. But that isn't always the case. In many airports, if a cart driver is passing by and there's space available, you can politely ask if they have room for an extra passenger heading toward your gate. For senior travelers, this can make a huge difference, especially in very large airports where the distance between security and the gate can be surprisingly long. Instead of walking the entire terminal, the cart can take you a large part of the way and save a lot of time and energy before your flight. Of course, it depends on availability and airport policy, but many travelers are surprised to learn that these carts are often more accessible than they expected. So the next time you're walking through a very large terminal and see one of those airport carts passing by, it may be worth asking if there's a seat available. Number 2. Some airports have hidden quiet rooms or rest areas you can use. Airports can be noisy and overwhelming places. Between constant announcements, crowded seating areas, and travelers rushing in every direction, it can sometimes be difficult to find a calm place to sit and relax while waiting for your flight. But what many travelers don't realize is that some airports actually have quiet rooms or designated relaxation areas hidden inside the terminal. These rooms are often designed for prayer, meditation, or simply a peaceful place to rest away from the busy gate areas. They usually have comfortable seating, a quieter atmosphere, and far fewer people passing through. For senior travelers, this can be a great way to take a break during a long layover instead of sitting in a crowded gate area with constant noise and activity. Many passengers walk right past these rooms without ever realizing they exist. So if you have extra time before your flight, it can be worth checking the airport map or asking an information desk if the terminal has a quiet room or relaxation space available. You might find a much calmer place to wait for your flight than the busy seating areas near the gates. Number 1. Book seats closer to the front of the aircraft when possible. When most travelers choose their seat on a plane, they usually think about the window view or whether they want the aisle. But one detail that can make a big difference is how close your seat is to the front of the aircraft. Passengers seated toward the front of the plane are usually able to get off much faster once the flight lands. If you've ever been seated near the back of a large aircraft, you may have noticed it can take quite a while for everyone ahead of you to collect their bags and move down the aisle. In some cases, passengers near the back can end up waiting 10 or 15 minutes before they're even able to stand up and exit the plane. For senior travelers, sitting closer to the front can make the entire arrival process much easier. You'll usually be among the first passengers to leave the aircraft, which can make a big difference if you have a connecting flight, need to reach passport control, or simply want to avoid standing in the aisle for long periods. Sometimes these seats cost a little extra, but many travelers find the convenience well worth it, especially on larger planes. It's a simple seat choice when booking your ticket, but it can save a surprising amount of time and make your travel day feel much smoother once you land.